processes. It also synchronizes various processes. As I told you initially, you have a program. The program can be divided into processes. The processes can be further divided into threads. So the operating system subtly manages this synchronization of processes, synchronization of threads. And in that process, we saw various aspects, how how to schedule the thread, how to synchronize the thread, how to avoid deadlocks, various algorithms like the banker algorithm, and so on. So today we will see, today and the next class, we will see main memory and virtual memory, the various aspects of how the operating system manages the various memory management functions of the computer. So in memory, as far as the memory is concerned, we have to understand that, I already told you, the physical memory, the hard disk or the flash drive, those things are very slow memories and they are very far away from the processor. If the processor has to do certain things, it has to be loaded in the main memory inside the processor. Only then the processor cannot use the things that are stored in the C drive, D drive, and E drive. Suppose you have a computer, you have a C drive, you have a D drive and E drive. In C drive, you have put the Windows program. D drive, you have put your C programs. E drive, you have put all your personal documents. I'm just giving you an example. Now, those things are all very far away for the processor. If the processor has to execute, any instruction has to be brought into the main memory inside the processor, where there are also something called some registers are there, CPU registers. So if the processor has to use certain things, it has to come either to the main memory inside the processor and the CPU registers inside the processor. And there is also a cache between the main memory and the CPU registers. So if you have so many instructions to do, they are lined up in a queue in the CPU registers, and between the CPU register and the cache and the main memory, there is a cache. So if you have so many, say there is a print command. Print command will be in the CPU register number 1. There is a copy command. Copy command will be in CPU register 2. All these things will be fetched from various locations, put it into the CPU register, and through the cache, it is going to the main memory. And the main memory, the CPU can only access that and execute. And the main memory is very fast. Whereas the secondary memory, main memory is also called primary memory, which is inside the CPU. Even the CPU registers are part of main memory, but all other things are slow and far away. Now, how does the translation happen? So inside the main memory, there are locations, C drive, D drive, E drive, all these locations are there. And the instructions or the programs or the data is lying in some physical location. Okay, physical location. But whether it is an instruction, whether it is a process, whether it is a data, whether it is a anything to be executed, all these lie in the physical thing. But as far as CPU is concerned, it doesn't understand this physical thing. It only works with logical memory. So the CPU does not directly go into any physical location and retrieves. Suppose you want a library file, stdio.h. stdio.h is located in some physical location, but CPU does not get the physical location. It actually only works with logical addresses. And how this logical address will be converted into a physical address. Now that is done by what is known as a base register and a limit register. In other words, the base register is where the for that process or that instruction, there is a base address and a limit register. That means you add the base address to the limit register, you get the location, the physical location of the instruction or the command, right? So that is the logic by which the operating system functions. So in other words, every time a CPU wants an address, which is physically lying here, there is a logical to physical translation. How it happens, suppose it wants stdio.h, it is somewhere here. The base address of stdio.h is given, the limit register is given, and that is how the physical logical address is translated to a physical address. That is how the operating system actually functions. Every time there is a base address and a limit. You add the base plus limit, you get the physical address. This is how the operating system. This is also known as binding. Now, in the memory management, there is something called compile time, load time, and execution time. You have a program. You need to compile the program, convert it into an OBJ file or a compiled file. That much time is the compile. Then this compiled file, the OBJ file, has to be converted into an execution file. For that, it has to be loaded into the, first it has to be loaded by the operating system, and that is done called the linker. The linker takes this compiled code, loads the module. The linker and loader will load all these things, and when this loader is there, the loader may take files that are supporting files that are needed, like stdio.h. When you are writing a C program, you need stdio.h or library functions. Without that, you cannot execute the program. So the program has first been converted from a source file to an object file. It has been linked and loaded and linked to all the header files, and then only we can execute. So please understand the difference. Compile time, conversion of the program into object code, and load time, loading the object file into loading and linking the object file to the through the loader and the linker, connecting to all the library functions, and then waiting for the execution. And the execution happens. So that is the runtime or the execution. So please understand there is a subtle difference. Compile time, load time, execution time. Of course, you know this through C programming. You are doing C programming, you are doing Control F9, you are first compiling the program, that compile time is here. Then you are executing Control F9, that is the execution time. But in this process, some time is taken, load time, because the OBJ file has to be linked and loaded. It has to be linked to stdio.h, it has to be linked to all other subroutines, and then finally we do this. I already told you logical address is generated by the CPU or the virtual address. The logical address has to be converted into the physical address through this conversion using base plus limit register. I already told you this. And there is in the CPU, there is a memory management unit which does this conversion, binding of this thing, and the conversion and the binding. See, the MMU inside the CPU. MMU is part of the CPU only, but here it is shown a little differently. But see how this is the base, the logical address, the base register. You add the relocation register is also known as the base register, and you want 346. You add the limit 14,000. So this logical address is converted into the physical address. Please understand, base register and relocation register are the same. Okay. Yeah. I already told you this. Now, the last concept what I want to tell you is there is a process called swapping that happens in their operating system. Now, the process of swapping happens because I told you that main memory is very fast, right? Physical memory is very slow. Physical memory means your hard disk is very slow, your flash drive is very slow. All these things are very, very, very slow. They take a lot of time, so as to speak. So it's a very big problem when we have these kind of issues. So sometimes it so happens that some processes have to be swapped out from main memory and brought back. And there is a buffer or what is known as a backing store. The reason is very simple. Main memory is very fast. Main memory needs to execute, and this process is not ready, or this process may take a lot of time, and that much time is not there. So it can, the processor and the operating system has a way to swap out processes. So main memory inside the CPU, if P1 P1 is not fully complete, there are certain variables, it can be swapped out to a backing store and P2 can be brought in. So please understand, this is not in the queue. The queue is very clear: P1, P2, P3, P4. P1, the thing is taken from it is kept in, say I told you, inside the main memory, there is a CPU register, there is a cache. There is a queue. So the queue is P1, P2, P3, P4. It is the order is like that. So P1 is there in CPU register 1, P2 is there in CPU register 2, P3 is there in CPU register 4, and P1 is waiting to go into the main memory. But P1 may take, either P1 is going to take a lot of resources, or P1 may be also not ready. Ready means there may be some discrepancy or some missing variable or something like that. Then the queue can be broken and P1 can be swapped out or put into a holding area or put into a wait list. That wait list is called the backing store. Then P2 will come. P2 will come from will go through CPU register to the cache, and from the cache it goes to the main memory. P3 will also go. P4, but when P4 comes, P4 may be having some issue, then P1 can be swapped back. So please understand, there is a queue. The queue will go on, but at the same time, in between, there is a swapping also possible. So the swapping has a process can be swapped out temporarily out of memory to a backing store and vice versa. This is because sometimes the physical memory space of processes may exceed the physical memory, and this backing store is like a temporary location, and sometimes the processor also does this in addition to the swap to the queuing. And this is all I taught you. I taught you all these things. Yeah. There is also something called a contiguous location, where the main memory is divided into partitions, and user processes have high priority and they have high memory, and the other things like the system processes or the operating system have got low memory. Now in contiguous allocation, one more thing that can be done is, we can have the main we can have what is known as these holes, right? So when we have we can have a system where there is a multi-partition allocation. So this is the queue, process 582, but you can swap out. When you swap out, you have a hole. The hole is a block of available memory, and there are different holes that are available. What you can do is, when there is a swapping out, or when there is a gap in the partition, you can swap out processes. You can put these processes into the holes. And obviously, you know, process 8 is here, but process 8 is taking a lot of time. Rather than that, I can put, if you see this diagram, I can put 9 and 10 into the hole. Rather than putting process 8 into the hole, I can swap out process this thing and I can put 9 and 10. So 2 processes will complete in that hole. So it is basically an allocation of slots or holes, where the available memory is available in holes. Maybe you have swapped out some process, maybe you have got some hole available, and you put the process inside. And obviously the logic is very simple. This is not moving forward. First fit is allocate the first hole that is big enough. That's not a good fit. Best fit, allocate the smallest hole that is big enough, so that more number of processes are gone in. And the worst fit is the allocate the largest hole. Now it's very simple. If process 8 is coming here, this hole is here, obviously it is not, it is a worst fit. It's a big process, it goes here. But when you get 9 and 10, it's a best fit. Smaller processes are getting in and more processes are getting complete. So this is basically a dynamic storage allocation that is happening in the operating system. I will close for today. This is basically tomorrow I will continue. Who is absent? One person is absent. Shivada is absent. Huh? Shivada is here. Shivada. Okay, I think Shivada is absent. Okay, we will meet tomorrow for the this thing. I think my syllabus will complete in probably 2 to 3 classes, and after that I will leave you free. I will give you full attendance in all those classes, and you can focus on the other things. But 10th, you please do the. I have not put an area for the practice programs. I'm thinking whether to give you have to upload these practice programs or not. I will decide on that. Anyway, you please work on those practice problems. Try out those shell scripts so that on 10th of November after Diwali you have a test. That please understand that test is very important. That is why I'm not asking you to upload these practice programs. I'm not giving any marks for that practice programs. Please try those practice programs. The shell script is all very simple. I mean, very simple. Finding out whether a number is odd or even, finding the prime number. All this is very simple C, like C programming only. So please try out these programs, the shell scripting. I'm not asking you to upload, but I'm assuming you are doing that, because in the exam you will have to do an evaluation. That evaluation you will have to do all these similar programs, and that will be a very big chunk of the lab evaluations, like an end semester lab exam, you can say that. So please focus on that. I will take class maybe tomorrow and on next Friday. After that, probably I will finish the syllabus and then I'll leave you free. I will, okay, see you, stay safe, see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.